masters of speed. This is Formula One.
Let's get stuck into this inters and wet setup then. You should know the drill by now. You should know the rule. If you've seen any other wet setups or inter setups, you'll understand that it's the rule of 2 for inters, rule of 4 for wets. So I've currently got this set up to run 5 laps of Spa in inters conditions, right? So taking the dry setup. The dry setup is on the channel. Go and find it. So I've taken the dry setup. I've gone +2 on the front wing, +2 on the rear wing for inter setup. If you were a full wet setup, you'd go +4. So you'd go to 20 and you'd go to 7. That's it. Onto the transmission. I've taken it down to 30 on diff, 25 off diff, 100% engine braking. Suspension geometry, I've kept exactly the same. Onto the suspension, I've kept the front suspension the same, I've kept the rear suspension the same as the dry setup. I've changed the front anti-roll bar to 14, I've changed the rear anti-roll bar to 10. I have increased the ride height of the car up by 3, and that's it. That's all I've changed. I've kept everything else the same. Onto the brakes, I find that sweet spot for me is a 98% brake pressure and 56% brake bias. This works really well. You just need to go careful through Puon, and if you are struggling with locking the rear tires, because turn 1 is a heavy braking zone, you've got the end of the Camel Straight is quite heavy, the downhill is quite heavy, there's a few heavy braking zones, even at the bus stop is one as well. So yeah, just be mindful of that. If you find that you are locking the rears though, increase the brake bias forward, but remember it puts extra load through the front tire, which then causes locking up of the fronts. However, this only applies to ABS off users. Onto the tires then, and these are the tire pressures, and yeah, they absolutely work fine. Tire wear is +2 on the front, +4 on the rear. So yeah, after 5 laps, I can't fault that. Remember, +2 on the front wing, +4 on the front wing if it's wet. But if it's, it all depends on your race. If you start the race and it's dry and then finish in wet, I would usually just run a dry setup, but then plus it to when you come in to pit for inters, or +4 it if you come in and pit for wets. If you're starting off on an inters conditions and it's going to be inters all race, I would run this setup +2. So you go +2 on the front, +2 on the rear. If it's a full wet setup, so that's blue wall tire, you +4. So the dry setup is 16.3. If it's a wet setup, you take it to 20 +7. Transmission, obviously, it's 30, 2500. Yeah. And that's been Spa. I hope it helps. It can be quite wet. I've got a race coming up. I did a pre-season friendly around Spa a few weeks ago. It was dry. Got a race coming up in a week or so, and hopefully we can do well in it. But yeah, hope this setup helps. You take care, guys. Peace.